and welcome back to the ACSC Podcast. Thank you very much for the support again on the last episode. It's been great, and we're getting a lot of good support on our giveaway. So check them out on Twitter. We're doing one every week. Without further ado, I guess you've probably seen already, we've got 2 guests on the show this week. So I'll let Warren take over there, and he can introduce them.
Right, good evening. We've got a good lineup for tonight. 2 are good friends, Chris Montgomery and Jacob Walcott. Right, to start off with, we'll go for your ultimate six-a-side. If we start with you, Jacob.
So first things first, I just want to say my heart goes out to Lloyd Calcott and his family's close friends. I know quite close to both of you two, but yeah, just say my heart and my thoughts are with him and his family's close friends. Yeah, back to the six-a-side, I'd have Ronaldinho. I'll go for a 2-1-2. Okay. I have a Ronaldinho and Rooney up front.
Yeah.
Messi sitting behind them. And then Ramos and Yaya Toure at the back. And then me in goal. I couldn't be up front or anywhere else without the amount of talent that's on show. So I'd have to stick myself in goal.
Nice. Oh, wow. Yeah. And you, Chris?
Maybe you don't have to call me Chris, mate. It's fine. Right, so I've gone for Peter Schmeichel in goal. Obviously, me being a keeper myself, he was a guy that I absolutely idolised growing up. Obviously, I've gone for myself as a right back in the defence because obviously I played there as well. Who else have we gone for? We've gone for Roberto Carlos in the defence next to me. Then the midfield, I've gone for Gerrard and Scholes. And I've gone for Michael Owen up front.
In a six-a-side?
That is 6, mate, isn't it? Yeah.
Brave.
Why? What's up with mine? You put yourself in goal. You put yourself in goal, mate. At least I put mine out.
Yeah, because I know the players around me. I know where the weak link is.
Well, it certainly ain't going to be me playing right back. What can you do wrong in goal? Playing right back.
Less than more than what you can do going in goal.
Very different, mate.
Right, we'll crack on. Obviously, we're going to be doing this episode on more of the sensitive subject of mental health. Coming obviously onto your career when you was at Reading Youth, coming up to senior, you were released. At that time, was it just you that got released, or was it multiple academy players at that time? And how do they actually do it?
No, so it was multiple people, but it was a mixture of people that come up from the academy as well as some first teams. So Howie, I forget, Brian Howard, he went on to Portsmouth afterwards, but he was quite a big player, he got released. A number of first team kind of regulars got released. But essentially what they do is your contract will run out, or the end of the season runs out kind of May, depending on if you make playoffs or an FA Cup run or whatever. The actual contract won't run out until July, 1st of July. So you carry on getting paid up until July. And then if you haven't found the club at the end of July, you get one more payment, wherever your month's wages, from August. And then after that August, that's it.
So do they actually help you find another club, or is it just on your own back?
No, it's the latter. It's off your own back. So if you've got an agent or you know someone, that's always kind of you're into a different club. If you don't have an agent or anybody kind of acting for you, it's off your own back. And how they kind of released me. So basically, before the start of the season, I knew that if I wasn't in the first team around September, I'd be let go at the end of the year. So come September, was nowhere near the first team, didn't even travel pre-season or anything like that. So I knew from September, bear in mind, another 9 months, I wasn't going to get another contract. I was supposed to go to Inverness on loan, but I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit. And yeah, so at the end of the season, I already knew going into that kind of final meeting that we know more at Reading. So yeah, it was just sat down with Nicky Hammond, the director of football, and Chris Cummins, who was like the reserve team coach. And he just kind of, them two sat at one end of the table, me sat at the other. He said, yeah, we won't be renewing your contract. Yeah, I already knew that, with a kind of laugh on my face. Said, no hard feelings. Said, it's just business, it's just football. I said, yeah, we like you, it's just not going to give you another contract. Shook the hands. 45 seconds later, I was out in my car on the way back home.
Obviously, that's it's like you were saying, it's quite blunt, and that must be a massive hit when, especially at that time, Reading were in the Prem, weren't they, or just gone out of the Prem?
It just, so in my time, they'd gone up. I think in 2008 they went up, and then they went back down, and then we had the year before we had the playoffs against Swansea, and Swansea won. It was the season after that, so we were still in the Championship. I think they went up that year.
Yeah,
they went up and I went out.
At least it was with a bang then. But what was your first thoughts when you did get released then?
It was, to be honest, it felt like the kind of rug had been pulled from underneath it. Even though, as I mentioned earlier, even though I knew from September I didn't have a club, or if it wasn't in the first team, that'll be kind of the end of the road. But still, the actual act of somebody saying your services are no longer required, it does feel like the rug's been pulled underneath it. You're thinking, oh, I've got bills to pay, I've got this to pay, I've got that to pay, I need to find another club. So you have all those kind of thoughts, not necessarily worries, but certainly thoughts about finding a new club, and potentially trialing with other people. And the worst time of season, sort of January, particularly the summer, is the worst time because hundreds and hundreds of players get released, and you're all vying and all fighting for 1, 2, 3, 4 spots, whatever it might be.
Yeah, which obviously does play on your mind. With mentally, obviously you've got to keep yourself strong. How did you cope with it as such of wanting to get back into football straight away, of finding another club?
So it was a case of, I took a month off, so I had all of May off, I think it was, and then start of June, that's when I went back training, so doing pre-season runs. So I was training twice a day, and that always kind of keeps your mind active, I suppose, because you wake up, you go and do your run, you come back, you eat, you go out and run again, you do your bits and pieces. So doing that kind of 4, 5, 6 days a week helped. But to be honest, as that was June, so as we crept into July and there was still no team, crept into August, still no team, you're going, the money's running out, the bills are still coming in, I've got no club. How am I going to draw an income? I need to live. I need to eat. I need to do what I need to do. So I think initially, go on.
Obviously, when you put on loan to Red Star, wasn't it? Oh no, Telstar, sorry.
Yeah.
They must obviously thought something. Obviously you're going to be going up there. So for them to kind of release you, I would have thought there would have been people banging on the door for you.
Yes and no. So there was a couple of offers to go back out to Holland. I didn't take up those offers. There was another offer from a League One team. And I'll tell you, just because it's relevant, I won't tell you the club, but I'll tell you kind of reasons why I didn't go there. So this club, the offer on the table was £100 a week. And that's not a lot of money for a person playing football or anybody, paper rounds, £100 a week.
Yeah.
But what I said to myself was, if they could put me in a flat or put me in digs, they pay for the accommodation, they pay for food, I'm quite happy to do that. I wouldn't have a life. I would just train, play.
Yeah.
Hopefully break into the first team, and then the money would come from there. That was the plan. But they turned around and said, if you're going to kind of worry about or speak on money at this point, what are you going to be like when you start doing well? I was like, £100 a week. Where am I supposed to live? Where am I supposed to eat? So I even put it to my mum that so typically you train on a Monday, Tuesday, you have a Wednesday off, you train Thursday, Friday, you play Saturday, and then you have the Sunday off. And it's like, my thought was, I'd go up on the Monday morning, train, sleep in my car, train on the Tuesday, come back to my parents on the Tuesday night, stay the Wednesday, travel up to Thursday morning, train, sleep in my car Thursday night, train on the Friday, and then sleep in my car probably on the Friday night to play on the Saturday. It was a genuine thing that was running through my head.
But is that more because you was always chasing that dream? You didn't want to let it go as such?
Yeah, I think because you grow up. I came to football quite late. I started about 10, 11, so it wasn't like 6, 7, so I came to it quite late. But it was always kind of throughout secondary school and the first few years after secondary school. But it's all you've ever kind of dreamt of, playing football. So if it meant sleeping in your car 3 days a week to play football, then that was what I was prepared to do. You know, season before I went out, and Monty was kind of active. Me and him were friends at this point. But I was out in Holland for 6 months by myself for a month, and then the other 4 or 5 months with another player. So I was willing to travel, I was willing to sleep in my car, willing to put the hours in. Yeah, and things just don't work out, and then you kind of it's at that point, you know, when you're contemplating sleeping in your car just to play football. That's when you go, is it for me? Have I got enough to do that? Is the fire still there? Evidently, the fire wasn't there, I'd say.
But then, obviously, you tried to relinquish that by going, obviously, a bit lower to, obviously, get your game back up again to be scouted. Obviously, at that point, you've got to, obviously, there must have been a time, even, obviously, at my local, obviously, North Lee, you're doing all right there, scoring a few goals and that. How much scouting is there at that kind of league for you to get back up to a better division?
Very little. I mean, Matty Taylor's probably the best example. But there is an element of scouting because he went to Forest Green, didn't he? And then Bristol Rovers, Bristol City, and then Oxford. But he was a good player. He was always scoring goals, so he was the goals that he would score and kind of elevated him, which you need to do.
The thing is, the best story of it is obviously him getting released at a young age at Oxford,
yeah,
to then end back there again.
Yeah, because I think he was. I've only spoken to him a few times. Like I'm not close to him. I think he was like a painter or decorator or something, wasn't he? Well, at North Lee, he was doing something.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think when I remember when he was at Oxford the first time, he was doing a fish and chip van for North Lee, and then for what you'd say earning now is leaps pounds.
Yeah, so I know Vardy and probably Ian Wright and Stuart Pearce going way back. They're probably the best examples. Yeah, he's certainly like a fairy tale story from a fish and chip van to playing in the Championship. Good story. But I guess to answer your question, I guess there is scouting at that level, and I was going to sign for Hayes and Yeading, which were a league or two above. Yeah. But it was a bit of a travel. You know, the money wasn't great on league. You know, at that particular level, you don't kind of do that full time, or at least I couldn't do it full time. Yeah, speaking to Gigi, he was assuring me of these scouting opportunities, that he knew this person, he knew that person. So that's why I kind of stayed at North Lee for that second year when I could have gone elsewhere. But yeah, I guess ultimately, at the end of the day, I didn't catch anybody's eye, whether it was. And I've always thought that if my heart's not in something, I give 30-40% of myself, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, a football match, work, whatever it is. If my heart's not in it, then, like I said, I'm operating at 30-40%, which is no good. Whether you're in kind of North Lee's league or lower or even higher, it's just not fair on yourself or your teammates or even the paying fans that are coming to watch. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. My heart's got to be in something, for me anyway.
You got anything else, Charlie?
I think that covers a lot of that side of things.
Apologies if I spoke too much.
And obviously, after you finished your football career, you went into obviously you had to find a different industry you wanted to. From a very reliable source, I did hear that you put your CV in to be a cardboard maker.
I've still not forgiven him to this day. Hey, can you keep this bit in? Can you keep this bit in? I'm still not forgiven for that.
I'll never forget that. Never forget that day. Never forget that day.
So yeah, so it's a bit like we spoke about Matty Taylor going from a fish and chip van to Championship. It's kind of like that, but in reverse. You go from playing in packed stadiums, playing international games, to I need a job. I need to get money. If that means working at a cardboard factory with one of your mates just to bring money in, or you still chase that dream, then I was prepared to do that. As it happened, I probably got the first job I got. So it makes me kind of smile thinking about it. Do you know when you get like takeaway leaflets or conservatory leaflets through your door? That was my first. Yeah, exactly. That was my first ever proper job. So we come to a point where it's like September time now. I got released in June. We fast forward to September 2012. The money's still going out. The money's still not coming in, so I need to get a job. So I think I read the job description wrong, or it was the wrong job. I don't know which way around it was. But yeah, so that was the job. So from 9 till 5, it was going around leaflet dropping in people's houses. So here's a map, here's an area, here's the leaflets, go and drop them around. So
remember that, yeah.
I think it was about February 2012, we played Arsenal in a reserve game. So Reading versus Arsenal. So you had Ramsey playing, Diaby playing, Shamak, I think Santos was playing, Chamberlain was playing, all these like stars, and you're like,
yeah.
And then fast forward 6 months, 7 months, and you're posting spam through people's letterboxes just to make ends meet. Yeah, that was a real shock. And so kind of if you've got a game on a Tuesday, you might be leafleting 6-7 hours, go and play on a Tuesday night, come back at 1 o'clock in the morning, then you're up on a Wednesday morning, 6-7 hours leafleting again. So that was the combination of kind of the uncertainty of not having a team, not having an income, but also going from the highs playing against them Arsenal players to sticking spam through people's letterboxes. Two sides of the same coin, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, I see what you mean. Obviously, following Northley, some of their games, like you're saying, like on the Tuesday night when you've been at work all day, and is it down at Taunton, you've got to go to, and then play the game, come back, and you're back at 1 o'clock or that. Say if you're a builder or something like that doing hard work the next day, you're going to be absolutely knackered.
And you don't want to get injured. The amount of times I have to tell players off saying, don't injure me. I've got leaflets to drop off tomorrow. I can't be injured.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh dear. Anything, Charlie?
No, I think it's like you're sort of making it a perspective of the real side things. Like for a lot of kids coming up now who always have these dreams. Obviously, I've been there on that, chasing that dream as well. It's not all as it's glamorized. Not a lot of these kids make it nowadays. So you've got to sort of see it from the bigger picture of. And I think that's the main thing is obviously, and I think a lot of work does go in now behind the scenes of giving a kid an education as well, and obviously making sure they've got a fallback plan, because if they haven't, it's a dark place to be at times, I think, for a lot of people.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it's also that less for your local team, so less for an Oxford or a Swindon to us. You dream of playing in the Prem, you dream of playing in the Champions League, you dream of playing for England as the first team. And this is no disrespect because I know players all throughout the leagues, but you don't dream of playing in Conference North or League 1 or League 2. That's not the dream. Don't get me wrong, there is some decent money to be earned. You can have a career, you can make a career out of the game. But if you said to an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 14-year-old, who do you want to play for? It's probably these shirts that we're wearing now. It's not, unless it's, like I said, unless for your hometown team, it's the pinnacle you want to reach. And so to not even get close, to that can be soul destroying for some people.
Yeah.
There was that young lad at Man City, didn't he? He committed suicide, didn't he? Actually, a year before.
I've seen,
And that's kind of.
And that it's a harsh reality. I think a lot of people don't realise within the sort of I went to UCFB, the football university, and sort of seeing the amount of people there that all sort of have a similar story of couldn't make it as a pro. So it's sort of the next full step, but he's going into sports in the other avenues. And did you ever sort of think about doing that, like coaching or anything like that, or?
Yeah. So when fortunately now I'm at a point now where I've kind of got a career off the pitch. It took a while to get there, I will be honest. I'm now at a place where I'm like, yeah, I can do this kind of, I retire almost. But to that, you are, I guess to answer your question, you are kind of scratching around because you've been involved with sports at whatever level. You do think maybe personal training, maybe coaching, maybe as an agent, maybe you go and do physiotherapy at uni, something kind of sports related or sports science, something like that. The dream certainly isn't to drop leaflets through people's doors. That certainly isn't the dream. Yeah, and that, I think you mentioned earlier about the dark side, the uglier side of it.
Yeah.
Is that we all exist. We've all got kind of drawn income, and it's an honest kind of day's work. Not glamorous by any means. But yeah, you do kind of scramble around. PFA, they do. It'd be a lie to say that they weren't a help, because they were a help. So what they do is they give you a £5,000 bursary. So what that means is that you can, if I went and did, as I did, a personal training course for £1,600, you pay the £1,600 up front, you send them a receipt of that and your certificate, and they'll give you £800 back, or 50%.
Okay.
£1,000, they'll give you 500. If it's £2,000, they'll give you £1,000. You get up to 5,000, which is great. It's a good initiative, but you are on your own on the PFA from agents. Only your family and friends have got in your ear and pushing you and kind of pushing you on to do what you need to do.
So would you say on the mental side, you'd wish they'd probably done a bit more for you?
Yes and no. The reason why I say no is because I do think it is on you. It is on me. The reason why I am where I am today is because of me. Don't get me wrong, there are kind of external factors. If a manager doesn't like you or doesn't say good morning to you in the morning, as was what happened. But I try and get onto that because I don't want to get in trouble. So yeah, there are external factors as to why I am where I am, but predominantly kind of 70, 80% of it, I think, is on me. And so as much as I can say the PFA didn't do enough, it was on me to go out and get a job. It was on me to go and find another club. It was on me to live out that dream and sleep in my car if I needed to. And I've always thought that football, regardless of football, that it is on you. And this lockdown we've had the kind of last year, I've carried that mentality through. So we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. I think is what I'm going to say.
Right, for the next one, obviously we'll go on to you now, Monty, and obviously your story. It was only obviously a couple of months ago that we had the story of obviously you going missing, which, lucky enough, I went on my ped and went searching for you.
Cheers, mate. I'll send you some petrol money.
Obviously, you two being so close to each other, was Walcott in the know of any of this at all, what you were going through?
I think he knew bits and bobs. I've suffered with mental health, mate, for years. It's probably happened about 6 years ago. When I first started getting the treatment, but I started going on my my tablet sort of thing, the happy pills I call them. But yeah, like I said, Walcott sort of knew the ins and outs sort of thing. I didn't know what was going on either. But I said it's hard, really, mate, because yeah, it's quite hard.
A lot of it, where did it kind of stem from? Obviously at the moment, it's not exactly the greatest situation. And obviously, I know people that absolutely loves football, going out on a Saturday with your mates, playing your heart out, and then obviously the social side of that must make a massive hit for you, especially if you're suffering as well.
Yeah, well, I think it started when I ruptured my ACL, which is probably must be coming up 7 years now. I think it happened like the April time. Then the following January, February time, that's when I got that's when I went to the doctor sort of with my partner at the time, and that's when she said, and explained, when I ruptured my ACL, obviously, I was bedbound for I can't even tell how long I was bedbound for. Then obviously, you're watching a Jeremy Kyle led in bed. Do you know what I mean? You're eating junk food. You couldn't do anything. Do you know what I mean? And obviously now, it's probably even worse this year, because obviously this time last year, that's when it got bad again. I was, obviously, I'd said I've had problems with my back now, like sciatica and stuff. So I was in and out of work. Then obviously April time again, come last year, I got furloughed for 3 weeks. Then, like you said, I was having more time off work with my back, so I couldn't do anything. Then, it got to a stage, mate, where I was drinking every night. It got really severe. Like, and I'm not talking about a couple of beers. It was like, I don't know, 3 beers. Then I'd do a bottle of wine easy, then 2 or 3 gin and tonics. Do you know what I mean? I was up to 4 o'clock in the morning. It got really bad, and that was my way of dealing with it.
Obviously, with the football side of it, do you reckon you wouldn't be? Oh, I suppose you would, obviously, because you had the injury. A lot of your mental health football can help massively, especially with the social side of it.
Yeah, of course it can. Like, obviously, because for the lockdown and stuff, do you know what I mean? A lot of people have suffered, do you know what I mean, with mental health issues and stuff especially the last year with lockdown and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people's get out is to go and socialise with their friends at the weekend. Go work during the week, spend time with your family, and at weekends for a few hours you go and see your mates, have a beer after, and that. And a lot of people see as their get out. Obviously with lockdown and that happening over the last year, not many people manage to do that. Everyone's obviously locked at home, or you for my get out at the minute is obviously I'm with the SAF boys and I sort of thing. Every night not every night, but sometimes with the PlayStation, and that's just my way of keeping myself busy at the moment. And people deal with different. People will go for a run or whatever. But keeping busy is definitely important to mental health. Like, if it's got to, it's got to do your brain a world of good. And well, personally, I think it does. Depending on what it is, but people have different sides to mental health. People have different issues, and they deal with things differently when so.
It's like that. Obviously, I completely understand where you're coming from when it comes to mental health. Obviously, I've suffered with it for, not so bad now. I'm absolutely fine. But a few years ago, of writing a note to your parents saying you don't want a beer anymore. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
obviously,
nice. Sorry, go on.
On this side, from obviously him having an injury as well. So it's one of those things that men these days, they don't talk about it.
No,
Which is nothing to be disheartened about. You need to, people need to start speaking. Obviously, this is going to be one of the groups. If anyone wants to DM us, obviously we'll always help. But it's an ongoing thing, and it's not a nice thing to go through, to be honest.
No, like I said, it got to us. Like I said, I had a good life last year, mate. Do you know what I mean? I had a partner, I had my daughter, I had 2 step kids, I had a beautiful home. My partner, was amazing. Do you know what I mean? And, obviously me drinking every night, I was taking painkillers during the day because obviously my back, then I was drinking, excessively. I was doing that every night for, I couldn't tell how many months it went on for, mate. Then August, and I was in this bubble where I thought it was acceptable to do what I was doing. I thought it was natural, staying up every night, drinking every night, and it got to a stage where my relationship broke down, and it ruined me, and it's not her fault, and I'm not, but I can't blame her for my actions, because she was, she was supportive, she said go and get the help, and I was like, no, I'm fine. And I don't know if it was just because I was ashamed, or me, I'm a kind of guy that too much pride about myself, and like people, I don't want people seeing me as a depressed person, and like I said, it ruined my relationship, and like I said, like this, I wrote I got to the stage where I wrote my partner a suicide note. She come and collected my daughter that day. I wrote a suicide note, gave it to her, turned my phone off, mate, and I just, I went for a walk around a lake, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna do it here. I had a load of painkillers on me, which I was going to take with it, and I said, I'm probably going to drown in that lake. I had a bottle of booze in me, and then obviously I saw someone which made me get back in my car and do one sort of thing. And I ended up like Reading way, like a loop. I back down, and then I ended up Oxford services. That's my phone was turned. Well, it was in airplane mode, so I wanted to listen to music and stuff, and I accidentally turned my phone on off airplane mode. I had messages, like people like trying to find me. I had a message from Thames Valley Police. I had people phoning me. It was a really dark.
Sorry to interrupt. Don't mean to interrupt you. The reason why I smiled was because I managed to call you at the exact same time. You took it off airplane mode.
Yeah, he did.
3 seconds later.
Yeah.
I turned my phone off on his phone.
Yeah, it did. It did. You know what I mean? Yeah, I do remember, mate. Yeah, no. And like I said, I was oxytocin, so I needed a pee, basically. I needed the toilet. I was desperate. Yeah, and obviously I saw the messages. Obviously, like I think from everyone from Thames Valley Police said, "You report as missing person, please call us." And when I pulled over the park out to go to the toilet, where I read it, there was a cop car behind me. Lucky no one was in it. And I'll tell you what, mate, I've never driven so fast before away. Then I was going back. I wanted to go back to the place where I was going to go the first time in my life, because I just couldn't cope with it, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's just you get in this dark hole. It's only like you get in this dark hole, and like I just couldn't see any way out. And the only way out, I know people might call me selfish and leave my daughter and that behind, my stepkids and my family, but when you're in that dark hole, that was the only thing I could think of, just to, do you know what I mean? I was happy, I wasn't happy with doing what I was doing, but I wanted to do what I wanted to do, because I had nothing going for me anymore. It's just, it was just the best way to deal with it, because it had gone on for so long, my mental health and that. If I'd done something about it sooner, I could have, but like I said, my partner at the time, she was, I felt, looking back on it, you feel guilty as anything, because like she works in a care home. So you can imagine with COVID and stuff, like she's fighting COVID in there, she's trying to keep the family safe. She's trying to, going in there, and there was me at home, just being selfish. She's looking after a 2-year-old all the time. Obviously my daughter's 2 at the time, looking after her, and she didn't get the credits she deserved, and for me, I have ruined my family, my little family I had, but it's a learning curve. Life's a learning curve. I'm back at my parents now. It ain't ideal, but now I need to keep going for my daughter, and people need to speak up more about it. I know it sounds stupid, but that day was the best thing I ever done, because the amount of support I've had from everyone. Like, people message me now saying I'm getting on. I'm having counselling once a week. It's a long process. You do have your good days, you have your bad days. I'm going to sit in tonight. I do have my bad days, but more good than bad at the moment. And you've just got to keep going. It will get easier. My DMs are always open. So if anyone watches this or whatever, please DM me if you're feeling low, whatever. I'll speak to you. I'll give you advice. Because I don't know men, not no men, but obviously no person should suffer in silence. Don't be ashamed. Like, if you've got a partner or, or someone close to you, you feel low, go and speak to them. They won't be embarrassed. I can promise you now they will support you. And, even your doctors, as the Samaritans these days, as good, like Talking Space and Oxford, they were brilliant with me, but they couldn't give me the help I wanted. Because I needed that different help. I needed that one-to-one. And I'll go private counsel now, and it's the best thing I've ever done. And like I said, you've just got to keep going for whatever reason it is. Like I said, that day I went missing. Obviously, Walcott came around after to see how I was. I walked through that door when the police pulled me off. They pulled me over where I lived, because I was obviously in Wales where I was. I walked through that door, and my dad gave me a cuddle, and he cried, and that hit me. Do you know what I mean? Because I've never seen my dad like that. And when you, sorry. Right. When you realize what you had, and and that, when you see that from your dad, it killed me. But you don't, like, people will say, like, when you're moving, it's like living at home, don't get me wrong, but just keep yourself busy, please. Just keep yourself busy. That's all I can say.
One of those things, Monty, is I can always see in this world, if we ain't got you, it's a worse place.
Mate, but the thing is, though, mate, like, it's you appreciate the little things. Like I say, it's nice being back up my parents, but I miss, because I didn't get the help when I should have done. Like, maybe I wouldn't have been, that day wouldn't have happened. I would still be at home with my family. Like my ex-partner, my daughter, my 2 stepkids. Like, you appreciate the little things, even if it's like giving them a kiss goodnight. Telling them you love them, you're going to work and stuff. The little things like that you appreciate in life. And now you don't do it. It does hit you. Do you know what I mean? But and I do have them days where I think about them. Of course I do. And I'll be stupid. And I'll be lying if I said I didn't. But you just got to keep going. Like, my life is getting easier to a certain extent, and but only because I'm baby steps in a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like, and with mental health, mate, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. What I've learned is me killing myself is someone's long-term problem. Well, in theory, it is a short-term problem because they can get help. There is lots of help out there, and like I said, a lot of men, especially men. And I'll never forget. When I've got pulled over, I sat in the back of a police car, and they brought like a mental health woman from Whitney Police Station. She sat in the back of the car with me, and I had a good chat with her, and like she asked me how I was feeling, and she said, men are the worst people that don't open up. She said they're terrible for it. And I think because we've got pride, you want to, men are pride over, like when you want to be that man of the house, you want to be that person, you want to be strong. And sometimes you can't, and it's no shame to be that, feeling low. It's no shame at all. Like, especially like times like this where you can't even do anything, and all I say to anyone is just open up. It is the best thing I've done. And like I said, it is hard. I'm not going to sit and deny it. It kills me. Like, I don't have that time anymore with my family and stuff. I see my daughter every weekend now rather than every day. At the moment, that's what she keeps me going. And like I said, if you're in a similar situation to me, keep going for whatever reason. Give yourself a reason to keep going. So I promise you'll come out stronger than ever. And and I definitely feel stronger than before. Don't get me wrong, love, but it is one of them things, mate. Like I said, a lot of men do suffer with it. All I say to men is just open up. Like I said, my DMs are open. Like, you can pick my Twitter in the chat or whatever after. If someone wants to DM me, then please do, because I will give you as much advice I can. And and all I can say is that day I had it wasn't worth it, because what was it going to achieve? And I know people fight their demons and stuff, but you can fight. You will beat the demons, and and that's one thing I'm fighting at the minute, but like I said, I'm having more good days than bad, and I'm back making cardboard. Hey, it keeps me busy, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, my work has been brilliant, like, and I've got great people around me at the moment, and people like messaging me every day, sort of asking how I am, just to check in on me. It's brilliant. And then that really helps me, like, cracking on. Do you know what I mean? Like, to keep going. So it does get easier.
They weren't checking to see if they could get a lift to Cheltenham, are they?
No, someone said I would end up in Cheltenham. I was like, it's totally opposite way. I would end up in Reading. I'll tell you what, mate, I was going to get them a JC, bang on the door so I could have a trial. See if I remember Jacob Walcott, but sorry, mate.
Speaking of trials and speaking of Cheltenham, I don't know if you want to keep the same time, so it's up to you. It's up to you.
Oh, mate, this is funny.
I won't say too much because I don't want to get someone in trouble. But basically, I was in contact with the gaffer at Cheltenham a few years ago. And I texted him. I said who I was. Not that he knew who I was, but I just thought I'd introduce myself. Yeah, I've got this really great goalkeeper. I think you should take a look at him. Oh yeah, what's his name? Yeah, it's Chris Montgomery. I'll put some footage together, and you got any trial game coming up? So he mentioned there was a trial game, and then I messaged you, did I? He said, yeah, I got you a trial at Cheltenham.
Oh, mate, it's funny.
But
yeah, it's funny. He told me just got released by Encham or something. Bear in mind, I've just like 3 months had I think 3 months after this, 3 months before this happened, I had my ACL surgery. So yeah, it was in the summer. No, it must have been a couple of months actually. I think it was your birthday or something.
I got you a trial at Cheltenham and you threw it back in my face, mate. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah, someone with a beer gut, you know what I mean? I've been
You could have had a pint of Foster's or a can of Foster's by the goalpost.
Definitely. I would want that in my contract, mate. A Foster's top after the game and a clean sheet. I'd want a crate.
Please say you sent that video what we had the other day.
No,
of what?
Him to get to the trial, and then they see how good or bad he was. Not before it.
Oh, I know which one you're on about. Oh no. That one doesn't go anywhere. Like, that's why I'm off Facebook at the moment, because of stuff like this. You know what I mean? Sometimes, Twitter's all right, just to keep up with gossip and that. But yeah, I know exactly what he's on about. Yeah. Oh dear.
Well, another one thing I saw you mentioned there, Monty, about SAF and what you've been doing there. Obviously, people who don't know it, obviously, think we're big FIFA fans anyway. I mean, wasn't obviously Serious About FIFA are huge now.
Yeah. Great guys.
What are you involved with there? Is it anything interesting or?
So I'm a mod for a couple of the streamers. As long as I've gone onto Facebook, I was on a Twitch mostly because I'm not on Facebook at the moment. I've come off temporarily to my Facebook, so I need to concentrate on myself, sort of thing. But yeah, I sort of, I know all the mods. Obviously, Callum, obviously, he's the main man. And they're brilliant lads. You know what I mean? They're very supportive. Like, you know, they've messaged me saying if I need anything or pay for anything or whatever. They've been absolutely brilliant. And you know, I'm with them most nights, you know, chatting to them, and they're great guys. You know, they've got a great Discord, and I was, you know, like making coins. Yeah. You know, they are brilliant. If you want to make coins, if you spend a load of FIFA points, don't bother. Join the staff Discord. I'll get the link and I'll put it. I'll get the link at the end of this, and I'll stick it.
Channel.
Yeah, because I promise you now, you will make loads of coins. Honestly, I think it's $8 a month, mate. And do you know what, man? It's not just I make a load of coins as well. Like, I've made friends for life for them. Do you know what I mean? They are top lads. You know, and honestly, like I can't fault them. Like, you know, they're top class. You know, and you know they help me.
Spoke to Cal the other day, and I said obviously you was going to be on. I thought he was going to make a joke or anything like that, but nothing but lovely words he said, and said he couldn't wait to hear your story and obviously how brave you were, and obviously you are, because obviously a lot of people won't speak about this situation.
Yeah, like I said, this is the only second time I've spoken about it, like what happened that day. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, my counsellor knows, but you know, it could have been a build up of things, mate. Do you know what I mean? It could have been trauma from when I was a kid. I got bullied when I was at school. You know, obviously my dad, I thought I was going to lose my dad at quite a young age when he got rushed to hospital for having a heart attack. Do you know what I mean? I thought it could have been that, you know, and obviously my daughter was 9 weeks early as well. Do you know what I mean? Obviously she come out, well, that big. Do you know what I mean? She was 1.5 pounds, and I didn't get to hold my daughter for 2 days, you know, and it was hard. Do you know what I mean? Obviously I was trying to be, you know, obviously my partner at the time, you know, like I salute her because, you know, she had 2 other kids to think of, and, you know, and she had that as well. And obviously I was trying to keep strong. You know, I was trying to keep strong for the family, like be the man of the house sort of thing. And, you know, and it looking down, it crumbled me, you know, but, you know, I said, the SAF boys, they're top class lads, you know, like, you know, I've met friends for life in there in the Discord. They've got, you know, I'll promise you now, like, I was the kind of guy I used to spend a crap load of points, you know, like loads of money on points. Now I don't, you know, I've learned a bit of trading myself, and I promise you now, they're top guys. They will look after you, and I'm in there as well, so I'll help as much as I can, you know. So yeah, just get involved in it. I promise you, you'll love it.
We would ask Walcott what he'd see about what his ultimate team is, but unfortunately he's got a super team.
Oh mate, he probably makes out he's still banned. He keeps telling everyone he's banned. Like I've beaten him a couple of times, and he'll say his internet went or something. Then the next minute I play him again for a rematch. He says, I can't. EA have banned me.
Ever since Moby messaged me about this, I've been dreaming about this moment. This exact moment. So, don't you dare cut this out either. Years ago, I was wiping the floor with everybody. Monty, Moby, strangers online, everybody. Cleared the floor.
Well, let me cut in now. What team was you using?
Accrington Stanley against Moby.
You're a liar!
Let me get into the story. There's a picture of him as well. There's a picture of him in our group chat after I spanked you on FIFA.
No, that's courage, mate. Don't you dare. Was that me playing naked FIFA?
Yeah. We weren't playing, but you lost 7-0, and that was one of the forfeits.
That was definitely an all-time low.
So basically, Charlie, Moby had a super team. He was Liverpool FC, but it was a super team. He had Warren Moby in every position. Rated 99 attack, rated. 99 defence, 99 cross, 99 aggression. Super team he was. I was Accrington Stanley, the actual Accrington Stanley. I beat him 1-0. I beat you 1-0.
Yeah, fair enough on the result. But how did that goal happen? My goalkeeper went to kick it, kicked it your end, and it went in.
A win's a win, my friend. And I was against Moby's super team as well. Yeah, Charlie, I am unbeaten on FIFA for the last decade, I'd say, close to a decade.
Oh,
anybody watching this, I'll go out. I've not had to buy FIFA. Like I said, they banned me, didn't they? I'll go out and buy FIFA.
That's an open challenge now, I think, for anyone.
That's me throwing the gauntlet now.
Oh, mate, you need to get that SAF Discord, mate. Learn to trade to get a decent ultimate team then.
That's immaterial, man. Just give me a controller, give me a time and a date, and I'll turn up.
Mate, there's no Classic 11 this year. There's no World 11. That's the only team you ever was when you beat everyone.
Actually, I do have Wi-Fi problems, so I better get that sorted before I...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course you have, mate. Yeah. course you have, mate. Of course you have.
Well, I think
that was the FIFA team.
I think we covered a lot. Obviously, I think it's been a hard hitting episode, but I think a lot of people need to realise. I think what we've covered there is it's a big stigma in men is that we don't open up, and I think we all need to get better at it. I think, like we said there, I'll put loads of links in below, obviously, of our DMs, Monty's DM as well, Walcott's. I'll even put some of the most, obviously, mind is a massive one that comes to mind for helping.
Yeah, mine's a good one as well. Yeah.
Links there for anyone who ever feels the need for help. It is always there and available for you guys to get it. I think I'd like to thank, obviously, Walcott and Monty for coming on. You've been great guests, and I think probably eventually have you back on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it. Like I said, it's the only second time I've shared my story with what's happening about my mental health, and like I said, like, please just don't do anything stupid. Like, I've been there, I've done it, and you hurt so many people. Like, you know, and just get help. I would say my DMs are open. Please, if you're feeling rubbish, you know, like, amount of people that have opened up to me, like I said, like I've you know, I feel now how you're feeling. It was amazing because not many people like realize how many people are suffering, you know. And my DMs are always open. Please send me a DM. I'll help you. I'll talk you through it. I'll do anything I can to help you. Like, it will get easier. I promise. That's one thing I can promise you now. It does get easier. So please.
I think that's so. Thank you very much for this week, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.